Hey,
Hello, hello, hello.
how are you?
I am well, my friend.
Yeah.
I was telling somebody today, I led a quick pop-ups interplay event this morning, which we're going to talk more about later in the show. But I
Yes.
was telling somebody this morning when I checked in with myself, I was
Mhm.
well rested. And that was
Yeah.
one of the first times I've been able to say that in a minute because I've been on and off of my sleeping pattern. But yeah, it was a nice feeling to be able to check in with that. What about you?
Good. I'm feeling, I will say rested, absolutely. But when I've been thinking about it, it's stretched, but in a good way. I love at work we have goals and then we have stretch goals. Sometimes we pick the easier step because it's a little bit easier and it's inside the comfort zone. So a stretch goal is good. But coming back from being out of town again, like you said, Greenville, we were talking about it before the podcast. Um, it's shown me, hey, this is a lot to do in a day. You can do it. Absolutely. It's not going to be today. That's okay. So spacing out some of the expectations and we have to do that sometimes. So again, it's been great. We're getting ready for the book. We've started talking about it. I'm here at a new position, bigger teams, working with the SCAD students, bigger, like just expansion. So I'm working on my checklist, okay, and what needs to be done every day, what's realistic in time frames for the week and also for the month. So
I
yes.
love it. I checked in with a friend of ours, a friend of the podcast who has been a guest here before, Carolyn Renee,
Mm.
and over at Women Helping Others Achieve and Interplay. And she said her check in to me today was, I'm sufficiently challenged. And I was like, oh, I resonate with that, right? Just right on the cusp of it being too much,
Mhm.
but it's challenging enough that it keeps us engaged. Well, hey, my friend, should we do our intro and
Yes,
get this party started today?
yes, yes. Hi, guys. Hi, ladies. I am Shannon Mitchell, a Black millennial business owner, your advocate for. Oh, I skipped the whole first part. That's okay. Your advocate for natural self care and practical business systems.
And also the founder of Shalo Glow, an
Yes.
all natural handmade shea butter company. Let's don't leave that part out, my
No,
friends.
thank you. That's what part I skipped. It's okay.
No worries. Hey, y'all, I'm Christine Gautreaux, a white social justice advocate, an international speaker, coach, and published author who helps you upgrade your self and community care.
Yes, and together we are Women Connected in Wisdom, a podcast grounded in the 8 dimensions of wellness.
And we like to get together every week and have intentional conversations about how to be well in business and life and relationships and bring on incredible guests who
Yeah,
have just such wisdom that we feel lucky to be connected to them.
yeah.
And we have a special guest for y'all today too that we'll introduce in just a few minutes. I can't wait.
I'm
Y'all know
excited.
I love it. I love every week. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to introduce you to these people.
Really. Yeah. You know what? I needed to work on this too. Let's talk about it.
Right?
Yeah.
So today, speaking of, we're talking about spiritual wellness, one of the 8 dimensions of wellness. One of our favorites, I
Mhm.
would say. We like them all, but some are easier than others,
It's
as far
true.
as how much they're woven into our lives.
Yeah,
So, you want to give our listeners the definition that we're working from today, Shannon?
absolutely. Spiritual wellness allows us to be in tune with our spiritual selves. This realm of wellness lets us find meaning in life events and define our individual purpose. It can be defined through various factors, including religious faith, values, ethics, and morals. Regardless of whether you believe in a particular religious faith, there is always something to be learned about how you see yourself in the world.
Mm, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know that when we talk about spiritual wellness, it allows you to seek meaning and purpose in like our lives.
Yeah.
It also, for me, it allows me to appreciate my life experiences, right? It allows me to be present in the moment
Yeah.
and to be connected to it all.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and not and be present in the moment. For me, I think about not being worried, right? If I was worried,
Mhm.
I would be in the past or I would be in the future. But being present is, and sometimes there may be concerns in the present moment, right? But what can I do right now? That being my focus for me minimizes a lot of chaos in different directions that my mind could go about situations. And okay, what do you do right now? What about after the podcast? What about after the podcast? And then you just you just keep going.
Right? Well, we've had multiple conversations over this last year about spiritual wellness and our practices.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I know they change sometimes depending on the season or depending on what's going on.
Right.
Any practices you want to shout out that
So,
have been working great for you?
mm, honestly, sharing my story, sharing testimony is
Mhm.
part of faith, right? Oh my goodness, this happened. Like I called you. I said, Christine, I'm in the big ram. They got me in the big red ram riding around with my red hair, listening to Cardi B in the mountains, okay? Like having a great time. And being able to celebrate the things that you get that you might not always deserve, but also knowing that I'm diligently working towards, that's been what I've been practicing. That's been helping me balance everything that I cannot control. And there's a lot of stuff going on,
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, that's what I've been working on, actively listening instead of, oh, I think I should do this and this and this. Well, that's
Mhm.
great. Is that what you should be doing right now? What about your purpose? What about the things that align with the type of life that you want to live? So sharing the stories, just like what we're doing now, the podcast, and then
Right.
feedback and being better for it and continuing that. Yeah.
Right. Part of my spiritual practice is to do my morning pages. We've mentioned that on the show before with Julia Cameron and morning pages, and I like to greet the sun in the labyrinth and say my prayers and do my meditation, but I have to be really honest with y'all, like it's been cold lately and I'm a southern wimp. So sometimes I'm doing it from inside my heated house than
Yeah.
versus out
Oh,
sitting on a
fun.
cold tree,
Yep.
right?
Yes. Yep. Because it
um
gets hot and cold back there.
Right?
Yes.
Absolutely. And I miss that during this season, but I do know it's just a season. And I try to when the sun's shining and I also say that with all understanding that it's really not cold where we live. Like it's been, in the 20s, so that's cold. But like I was talking to somebody today in
Mhm.
Michigan, or was it yesterday? And they were like -17. And I was like, this is why I live where I live.
Pull
So
my vest while I got my arms out.
right? I can't wait to talk about spiritual wellness with our special guest today because
Yeah.
y'all, like, this is her jam. So, if you're ready, Shannon, I'm going to go ahead and read our guest bio and bring her up on the stage. Does that
Let's
work
do
for you?
it. Let's do it. Do
All
it.
right, let's do it. And I always go straight from what they sent me, especially when it's somebody that's a friend of mine, because I can totally ad lib and get off track. So I'm going to read what Marla sent. Here we go. A mystical experience with a dying aunt at age 5 opened the ability for Marla to walk between the worlds. This experience led to a lifelong study of sacred wisdom and esoteric arts, including indigenous root medicine, subtle energy healing, biogeometry, integral spirituality, circle leadership, interplay, and more. Marla leads workshops, retreats, offers ceremonial facilitation, cosmic human design readings, and spiritual direction. She also produces and hosts the community call for the Women of Wisdom Foundation, Watering Wholeness, the third Wednesday of every month. So I just can't wait for us to have this conversation. I want to welcome Marla to our stage today.
Hi,
Hello,
Marla.
Marla.
Hey, hi. So happy to
How
be
are
here.
you?
Hmm.
We are so
I'm
glad
doing
you're here, my
great.
friend. Good.
Thank
When
you.
you heard that definition of spiritual wellness and the work that you do in the world, what are your thoughts?
It's my jam. It's perfect. It's right on. And I feel like it's why we're here, right? It's why we're here. Absolutely.
I don't think I've ever heard your story, even though we've been in community for several years together. And actually, I was looking through pictures because you were doing the social media for the 2022 Interplay Playathon, which I want to tell our listeners about in a little bit. But a lot of pictures of the time that you and I got to be at the Parliament of World Religion together in Toronto pre
Yeah.
pandemic have been showing up, which just makes my heart smile. But I don't think I've ever heard your experience with your aunt. Would you be willing to share that with our listeners?
Sure, sure. When I was 5 years old, actually, we went. My parents are from rural Louisiana, and we went back. My aunt was dying. My great aunt was dying. We went to be with her, my mother. And one afternoon, my mother took my sister and I, who was 3 at the time, out for slushies. And we came back to the house, and my mother and grandmother were in the kitchen. And I went into the room with my grandmother, with my great aunt. And now I know that she was in the last stages and that, I was 5, right? So I walked into the room, and I like walked up to her, and I like bent the little straw in my slushie, and like she sucked a little bit of it, and I kind of stroked her cheek, and then the room got misty. Like like something happened. And now as an adult, having walked this path this long, I realized that they transferred something. There was some kind of sacred energetic transfer that happened just from my simple act of love and kindness and being there and being, I guess, a receptive child. But it really, in that moment, like something like all of a sudden, the experience in the moment, it felt like the room got misty and everything got soft. And then all of a sudden, I could literally could feel my aunts. I could feel her like in a way I wasn't able to feel her before. And I think it turned on for me my very, very deep empathy, so much so that I can actually feel other people's emotions, to the point, and sometimes emotions that they're repressing within themselves. Um, so it's been an extraordinary journey.
That is so powerful. So, what that sounds like to me, Marla, is you found your purpose at 5 years old.
Yeah. I never thought of it that way. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I found my purpose, and then I lost it, and then I found my way back.
Oh, tell us more about that. Because, that's part of our podcast is talking to women about like, this is sometimes not an easy journey, or we get distracted along the way. And so I'd love to hear that story and some tips and tricks for getting back to your purpose.
Okay, well, this is a long journey, so I'm going to ask you to maybe guide me a little bit on in questions. But what I will say is this: if you, especially if you're a highly sensitive person in this culture that we are living in, if you are someone who is highly intuitive or empathic, there's not a lot of, hey, there you go, this is what you need to do. Here's a pathway for you. There's actually, it can be a very lonely, discombobulating journey through life to have, what I realize now is actually a whole other sense that other people have no access to, but they can't even help you, deal with it. And then there are most of them who would even deny it. And so you have to find your own strength. in your own way. And especially, now I look at millennials, Shannon, and I think, who've come along after our grandmothers have broken the ground, have broken the trail on these practices, and talking about spirituality as an open thing in the journeys and all of that. And so, I'm a part of that early generation where we weren't able to talk about these things. There were no role models for us. And so, as we come into the 21st century, now there's more space and there's more room and there's more opening. And I don't have to be back in the closet doing what I do, as many of us have, or try to couch it in something else, like, facilitation, or, it is what it is. So.
I love that, Marla. Now, one of the modalities that you and I share is interplay. And I would love we're going to talk about the playathon, but how has interplay helped you on this journey?
Oh my goodness, interplay, I often say that I feel like interplay is interplay is the place for sacred spiritual practice for the 21st century. I really believe that. And I believe that interplay is a way to access all kinds of body wisdom, as you know, Christine. For me personally, my mother died in 2020. And the journey into and around and after her death was very tough. This was the beginning of the pandemic and all of this confusion, and interplay literally saved me. I was in so much grief and so much trauma and stress that I would get up and I would shape my day. I would dance on behalf of the day that I wanted to have. I would dance on behalf of my mother. And even learning the skills incredibly, taking my time step by step. It really not only, I feel like it helped me with my grief, and it also helped me to be able to access the wisdom within my body around that grief. And also, it helped me to heal. Beyond that, interplay has opened huge doors for me professionally. It has allowed me to be able to facilitate events and for organizations, because of the depth of skills, the depth of the tools within the interplay toolkit. When you learn to be a leader, it creates so much. I feel like I've been in a situation with other facilitators and they're at a loss, and it's just like, well, which interplay tool we want to use here? It's like, we got a plethora of abundance of tools and ways to work with people in community. And so I absolutely love it, and feel like it's an amazing body of work and a wonderful community and movement of people.
Right. And for our listeners who don't know what we're talking about, you would probably be a new listener to us. But you can check it out at interplay.org. And Interplay is a global movement, and it's based on the ethic of play. And it is based on our reclaiming our birthright privileges of movement and storytelling, and our voice, and stillness too, like just all of it wrapped in. Shannon, do you have a question for Marla? I know we're riffing on the interplay thing because we love it, but do you have a question?
It. No, I appreciate your story, Marla. Christine and I have been doing this. What is this? Our 52nd episode, Christine?
Yep.
For 52 episodes. We've been friends for years, and Christine has been to countless of my events, and I have still never interplayed. So, Christine, this year, I will not make it to 2023 without interplaying. I'm gonna put that
I
on.
think, and here's my challenge, Shannon, what Marla's
Okay.
about to tell us about, because she is the global organizer for
Mhm.
an event we have going on right now. I want her
Yeah.
to tell our listeners and you about it specifically because it is perfect for you.
Okay.
Perfect for you. Marla, will you tell us about the 2022
Yes.
InterPlay Playathon?
Absolutely, absolutely. We have 12 weeks of play. We have 13 different classes every week, 15 amazing leaders. Here's an opportunity for you to come and play and explore your body wisdom, and lots of different choices. Drop-ins are welcome. They're great for people who are new to InterPlay. There is Saturday play. We've got classes around body wisdom. We've got classes around dealing with compassion and listening. There's a lot for you to choose from. I'm doing a class called Soul Food Interplay around playing with what feeds our soul and makes us happy. It started on the 17th and it goes until April the 9th. And if you go to interplay.org, you can see all the classes there. And we hope people will join us. It's a really great way to have a taste of a lot of classes and an experience of this beautiful, incredible practice that is so, it's creative well-being, isn't it?
It really is. Creative well-being is a great way to say it. And I want to lift up what you said earlier, Marla, about how it, because I said this the other day on my LinkedIn about how I am a better facilitator, I'm a better organizer, and I have done worldwide things and that I don't know that I would have done if I hadn't become an interplay leader. And so it has, I, and I don't want to say this to toot my own horn, but I have had people walk up to me after facilitating and go, "You are the best facilitator I've ever heard," and I credit it to
Right?
interplay. Like I credit that it to interplay, and yeah, so I just invite anybody that if you just want to come and play, come play.
Mhm.
But if you want to deepen your facilitation skills and your ability to work with large groups and small groups of people, because there are two different types of skills there, but that is, you can do that by becoming a part of our community and becoming a leader in our community. So
I love
I
that.
am,
And it's
go ahead,
important
Shannon.
to know too, though, Christine, because we talk about the skills and how do we do this and where did you learn it?
Mhm,
Somebody must have taught you, or maybe they
mhm.
they assume that it's from a certain place, but really a lot of times, and even for me, it's been in the extracurriculars, the things that we're doing to the side that ends up
Right.
giving us the implemental skills to make the foundation realistic. So thank you,
Right.
ladies, for sharing. Yeah.
Well, and I want to lift up because
Mhm.
we often talk about intersectionality on this podcast, and we talk about people coming from different places and different lifestyles and different, all kinds of differences. And Interplay is very committed to diversity and inclusion. And we have scholarships and we're committed to the next generation. So we started a big commitment to millennials, but now I think, what's the new term, Marla? Like, is it what's the next generation? Is it the Generation Z or
I
but
forget the
really
words.
really lifting up all different kinds of voices that it was started by two white dancing ministers, and they looked around probably about 10 years ago and were like, this is not we want this organization to be diverse and to be representative of our world, not just how it started. So we're not perfect by any shape of the imagination, but we are actively committed as an organization to doing the work. So is there anything you would want to add to that,
Oh,
Marla?
absolutely. Yes, thank you for allowing me to add to that, Christine. If I may share a little
Yeah,
story around that.
absolutely.
This morning, I hosted Dance Chapel, which I do every Wednesday morning from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. And one of the participants that came this morning was someone who helped found Seattle Interplay. and so has been with Interplay. Came when I first called 29 years ago, from Cynthia and Phil, to come join us and see what we're doing here and see if we want to do this together, and kind of at the very beginning of Interplay. And one of the things that she said to me is, I am so grateful that I showed up and I stuck with it, because it made way for people like you, and for me to have this gift to be sitting here with you now is a huge gift, is what she said. I almost want to cry, because I almost wanted to cry when she said it. And she said, Interplay committed to doing the work, and because of that, we could have this cross-cultural, deep connection, and dance with the numinous, right, and the divine together. And so, and I think the understanding that Interplay has, that as bodies come together, right, the bodies, we have all of these different wisdoms, and if we come together with our diversity of wisdoms, there's more for all of us, right?
Yes, and it just makes it so delicious, right? It makes life delicious. It's kind of like, of course, y'all know I'm from the South. And when, you go to a family reunion and everybody brings their favorite dish, or like their specialty, or their, you know what I'm talking about, Shannon? You've been to those family reunions. Like, like, it's
Yeah,
just so,
well, y'all know I'm from Houston, so I
right?
know.
Right? You know, Marla. Like, it just makes it delicious. It makes it wonderful that everybody brings their unique gift and their unique dish, and we get to be in community together, and we get to celebrate. So I love it. I love it for so many reasons. I mean, because that's how I met you, Marla. Like, we met. I don't know if we had gotten to Interplay together before the Parliament of World Religions. That's where we really got to know each
I
other.
don't think so.
But yeah,
Yeah,
and it just
and
blows me away.
that would change my life.
Yeah, mine too. That was
What
really
blows you away?
powerful. Say it again, Marla.
What blows you away?
That I don't know that I knew you were originally from Houston. I think we may have had that conversation, but you're in California. At that time, I was in Georgia, but we met in
I'm in
Toronto.
Seattle.
You're in Seattle. Sorry. West Coast. I knew you were West Coast, but Seattle. Let me not make, yeah. So you're in Seattle. I'm in Atlanta. We're both originally from Houston, or around Houston, Louisiana. We have people all up and down there. And we met in Toronto at the Parliament of World Religion, literally dancing together on a world stage. Like, that is wild, right?
Yeah.
It is wild. Yeah.
And that's what I
And
love
it
about,
feels so Interplay.
Right? Yeah.
and that's what I love about being connected. It's like I was here doing my thing and I met this person, and then boom, and just story after story about, passing on good energy, passing on wisdom, passing on stories, and healing together from them. Why do it all by yourself when she could tell you a little bit, she could tell you a little bit. He might slide something in there, that will help everybody out, and we can grow together as a community and be healthy. And dancing is part of that. That's on my list too this year, Marla. Part of my wisdom and action is dancing more this year. So I'm gonna see if what I can do with this 12 weeks and come visit you guys.
I love that
Yes,
so
I hope
much,
you
Shannon.
do. I hope you do.
I'm gonna look at it.
Speaking of wisdom, Marla, and when we read your bio, I mean, there's so much yumminess in it. But one of the things that I don't think we've had anybody talk on this podcast about is where is it? Hang on. Cosmic human design. And I know you are an expert at that. Will you tell our listeners a little bit about that and where they can find out more about it?
Sure. Thank you for asking Christine. So what human design is human design is a system of analysis that brings together the I Ching, the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, the chakra system, the Hindu chakra system, astrology, and the Kabbalah tree of life. And how cosmic human design differs in this is that you can use normal astrology, which we know in the West is tropical astrology. That's where if you're a Gemini, you're a Gemini. This is what we're called, right? However, what we use in cosmic human design for the analysis to find your unique signature is we use what's called true sidereal astrology. And what true sidereal astrology is constellational astrology. It's indigenous astrology. Like every time I say it, I think it, like my heart just goes, I'm so excited because the true sidereal astrology, constellational astrology, is the astrology that all the temples in the world are aligned to. It's the astrology that's written in stone. It's the astrology that your mother and your father, our mothers and fathers, can look up at the heavens and take a photograph. That is what we read. And it's different than tropical astrology because because we're actually looking at the actual map, the actual blueprint there. We're not using calculations like normal astrology. So people who thought that they were Geminis may actually be Cancers, right? And thought that they were or otherwise. But what we have found is because we are looking at the actual imprint of who we are, that what we get is this beautiful analysis and map of who we are, of all these different systems keyed in together. And what it does is it shows us the best way to use our energy. It shows us where we're really strong, what our unique gifts are, what is the thing that really our soul sings to do. And a lot of different ways. It helps us to understand the places that we are successful, why we came here, what our purpose is, how we are in love and relationships, all keyed in with the 64 hexagrams. So what we find is we can really have a very deep understanding of who we are and also find a really beautiful pathway for success and healing for ourselves.
I love that. So is that part of the work you do with your coaching? Like, can somebody reach out to you and say,
Yes.
hey, Marla, what's my human design? Because I will confess, I have, filled out some of those online where you get your human design, and then I have no idea what to do with it. Like, it's a lot of numbers. I'm not trained in it. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, yes, I'm this and this and this, but I have no idea what that means. So could I call you and say, hey, Marla, can I book a session and you tell me how to use this as a tool in my life?
Absolutely. It would be my deepest honor to do that. I love that because, let's even speaking in terms of human design, in my true form, in cosmic human design, I am what we call a projector. And my cross is a cross of articulation. So basically in cosmic human design, it says that I actually came here to help call people into individuation of their greatest, what is their greatest calling, their greatest being. Like literally the imprint says, this is what you're here to do. And I get so, when I read it, like I was mistyped in using the tropical because the math is not right. It was not right. And then when I got to cosmic human design, I'm like, I get so turned on when I help get people keyed in to what's theirs. It like my greatest joy is calling people to their greatness and seeing what is quintessentially theirs. And so this is what I came here to do. And so I have so much joy helping people with cosmic human design because I get to help them see just how beautiful and how wonderful they are, and to help affirm for them the gifts that they already knew that they had, but that maybe they were kind of keeping that little gift down over there because whatever. And so I get to help them say, hey, look at this beautiful gift. Go shine with it, share it.
I love that. Oh my gosh, who wouldn't want a session like that? Like Shannon, come put your voice in the space.
I don't know what to say. Well, that's not true. So I like it. We talk about it makes me think of um, card readers, right? And we have this whole fuzzy understanding of different things that different people do. And with astrology, it's like this there's the moon, there's all these different things to follow. And that if you don't know, just like Christine said, I got this report, I don't know what this means or what to do with it. But I like it for the differences that I hear in what you're saying from all of those things that I've heard before. And it makes sense. And just like we talk about the dimensions of wellness and Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that might be a certain way to think about things. But we know things interact with each other, they're interdimensional. So it sounds very interesting. And I hear what you're saying about the articulation and the potential. I love doing stuff like that too. So I'm just listening. I'm just soaking it all up.
Right? It would
Yeah.
be so curious. Okay, we need to go do that,
Mhm.
Shannon. We need to
I'm
figure out
interested.
what our human designs are.
Yeah,
And
and before I've been
Mhm.
against it. I said, no, I'm not gonna go to a card reader. I'm not gonna participate in palm reading, but not saying that those things are any certain way. I just decided to not. But this, I'm open to it. I'm comfortable with it. So yeah, I look forward to it.
right? Well,
Yeah,
Shannon,
I can tell you, you can go if you want to go,
go ahead, Marla.
if you just want to pull a chart, you can go to cosmichumandesign.com just to pull a chart so that you can see what you truly are, because the other engines are not correct. They're using tropical human design. And I only read using indigenous astrology, which is the cosmic human design, the true sidereal astrology, which is true. It, for me, feels like truth. So you can
I
get your chart there and look at it, and but I can also help you with a really deeper analysis and sharing with you who you are.
got it.
All right, I'm looking it up right now because I want to put it in our show notes for our so it's cosmichumandesign.com. Oh, I just got it. I'll put it in the
Dot
show
com. Yeah, and
notes.
all it is a little engine for you to plug in your.
Okay. Cool. I
I
love
do.
that.
So talking about your bio, Marla, I have another question for you. What about um, biogeometry? Does that go with the astrology that we were just talking about, the cosmic astrology?
So biogeometry is a whole different system, but actually related. Biogeometry is a science. It's actually based on ancient Egyptian temple science, and it's a sacred geometry science that uses shape, form, number, and relationships of geometry to create sacred space. And you can use it using shape to map, to help the body remember, like to help the organ remember the correct flow. You can use it to create sacred space in your garden or in your home, to help mitigate the energy of EMF and Wi-Fi energies in any space, a building, and then you can also use it in design to create designs that are energetically harmonious and attractive to people without them even necessarily knowing it.
Absolutely. And I've actually been thinking a lot about that because I'm about to redesign this retail space. And I worked with an African architect and interior designer, and she taught me that about certain shapes and the way you pair colors and the flow of things. So we're going to get in here and move some stuff around. And I think that it's going to help with a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
Shannon, I would love for
Absolutely,
you
it
to
does.
tell I would love for you to tell Marla about your company and what you've been up to.
Oh, so there's so much that you said makes your soul smile, right, Marla, that I'm working on. And this is for the first time, I feel like, as a 28-year-old now, in my purpose, doing all these amazing things with you ladies and my company, Shalo Glow. So, Shalo Glow is a handmade shea butter company. Right now, we have glow kits. So, we have a travel glow kit that we can take when we go and we need to pass through TSA. And then there's a home glow kit. And basically, the point of it is to take care of your moisture barrier. And usually I don't say it like that, right? Usually we say it's to take care of the moisture and dry skin, but because you know the science behind everything, it's really important right now with COVID and just immune health in general. We start with the dark brown sugar scrub that's going to exfoliate, right? It has grapeseed oil and honey in it, so it's really moisturizing. Then you're going to have the oil that you can use on your scalp, hair, skin, and nails. That's our glow oil. And the third step is the shea butter, the glow butter. And that's where our name comes from. Shalo Glow, the shea butter and the aloe, of course, is 100% natural African shea butter straight from Ghana, and organic aloe leaves I cut up myself, and we cook it down, melt it, and pour it into the containers. So that you get more product in each container. You need less with the oil, you need less butter. So it just complements, just like everything we do in life, right? And I love it really because it's transformed the way, we've been able to take care of ourselves, the way we take care of our family. It's helped dogs and gout and mother relationships and self-love, and that's really what it's about. So I'm having a good time with that, but that's my company that I do in addition to everything else.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Shannon is got a purpose and a mission about helping women take care of themselves and glow from head to toe. And yeah, I've been watching her this past year, and it's amazing. Like,
And
it is amazing.
I'm sorry to I try not to do that. Like when somebody's saying a sentence, just hop in. I'm sorry, Christine, that I did that to you.
No, go, Shannon.
For the plug, because Marla, we were talking about your aunt, and that is the backstory. And sometimes I forget to talk about that. Is that the basis of Shalo Glow is based on women taking care of ourselves and chronic illness. My mom passed away right before your mom passed away in 2019, and I had just met her, and I didn't know her for 12 years. So to meet her and then have our time trying to adjust and get to know each other, and then she got sick, so caregiving and overextending and prioritizing others' needs before our own is what we've seen. We just haven't been talking about it necessarily like we're talking about, right? And then after your mom passed away, then my best friend's mom passed away 7 months after, and I was like, and it was of course with COVID and everything else, so that's really the heart of it. Are you doing what you need to do for you? Because all this other stuff will be here. Everybody else is going to do whatever they need to do. They probably won't come take care of you. Are we taking care of ourselves? So doing that through the kids is what Shalo Glow is all about.
And I just do want to give yeah, it really is. The whole story and the whole journey is beautiful. And I do just want to give a shout out to our white listeners. Because the oil, I was teasing Shannon about it today, because I love using the Shalo Glow oil. But if you have white hair, don't reach up and put your hands in your hair, because
it's too oily. It's a thing.
It becomes oily. But for my skin in the winter, it is fabulous. But I got online and I was like, oh, Shannon, my hair. This is Shalo Glow oil there today.
Oil. And it's just like the butter. I have locks and I shouldn't put the butter in my hair, Right. So it's interesting that you say that, Christine, because again, what we're talking about, Marla, we've been going through this class and talking about business and the structure that we need for it. And so I've been putting together glowing from head to toe. So with it being January, all of my email subscribers have been learning about how to take care of their hair with the products, because we're taking you literally from your scalp all the way down to your toes in December. So, yep, depending on what type of hair you have, be mindful of the product.
And I still love it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Y'all, I am paying attention to our time, and I have so loved this conversation, but it is about that time for our wisdom in action. It is about the time for when we think about spiritual wellness, when we think about all the things we've talked about today.
Yeah.
If we had to hashtag it with wisdom in action, what would your wisdom in action be this week?
So I have one that I wrote down before we started because I need to get better at having my hashtags. And I said actively listening, right?
Mhm.
We're doing a lot. It's great. I'm excited. We know where we operate with the level of busyness, but at at an optimal point. But I also want to make sure I'm not doing things just to be busy. I'm not tired just because I want to be exhausted because I did everything I could that day and then rest and then be refreshed and then hit it again, but not for no reason. So actively listening to make sure that I'm in line and in alignment with everything. And I will also say, know yourself because I believe you have what you need in life. You get it at different parts of life. So we're talking about Marla and the services that she offered in the website we're going to go to. And for me, knowing yourself is a huge part of my spiritual wellness. So that's my second hashtag for wisdom in action.
I love that. What about you, Marla?
I love this idea of it being like if it's a hashtag, it's a hashtag. It's got to be short and sweet. And
Mhm.
so I'm going to say that one of the things that I am playing with now that I would like to continue and deepen my play with is inner smile. So my
Mm.
hashtag is inner smile.
I love that.
I
Oh
like
my
that.
goodness.
I like it for emotional and mental wellness too. Inner smile.
Right.
Yes.
I love that on so many levels. Okay, what would my hashtag be this week for wisdom in action? Um, hmm, I think it's going to be find more stillness.
Mm, I like that.
Find more still. Create. Actually, it's not. I'm going to create more
Mhm.
stillness.
Yep.
I am going to create more
Christine,
stillness.
I'm so
Just
proud of
in
you, Christine.
Thank you. Just in moments throughout the day, like when I'm teaching interplay, when Marla was talking about the playathon, Sheila and I's class is being offered through the playathon, also the one that the radical self and community care based on the book. And, we create moments of stillness in there. But sometimes when I'm not teaching, I don't create them for myself. So that's what I'm working on this week.
I love it.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing, right? We talked about Marla's call that she does every third Wednesday, right, with her group and wisdom, and we do our shows every Monday with wisdom. But really, what was my concise point that I was about to make? Oh, I was saying I was proud of you, Christine, because it's about creating it, right? We didn't want
Right.
to title the show in a way that would make it feel like work. We have so much on the plate already, right? But we have to talk about this because it hasn't been talked about. And we're not gonna not talk about it because we gotta take care of ourselves or all this other stuff is irrelevant, right? So instead of hoping that it'll happen or thinking about it or trying, we're gonna create it and instead be intentional and operate from a place of knowing ourselves and stillness, and then everything else will fall in place.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
I have to, before we go, I have to show, let me see if I can pull it up and show our listeners that are watching today. Cause, did it? No, I think it may have gone away. I was going to oh no, there it is. I'm going to share my screen real quick with our listeners that are watching because this human design is art. Like I put in my numbers while we were talking and it's like art, but it's a lot. So that is also on my list, Marla. I'm going to call and get a schedule
Mm,
in with you because I want to understand this.
yes. Yes.
It makes me very happy to look at it, but I look at it without any understanding at the moment. So I want to have some understanding around it. So
I'd be happy to. It's so empowering. And
yeah.
you can find me at my website, modernrootwoman.com. I don't know if you were going to ask that.
Yes, I was, and I was
Yeah.
also going to we always put it in the show notes, but yes, so modernrootwoman.com, and I'm going to pop this up real quick so our listeners, if you're watching, you can see it. Um, modernrootwoman.com, and we will put it in our show notes so everybody can find you and be connected to your work. And We are so grateful, Marla, that you came on to
Thank
have this conversation with us today.
I am so glad. Thank you for inviting me, Christine. And
Yeah.
what an honor to meet you, Shannon. And go. I'm
you.
so excited for you. Go, girl, go. Yay. Thank you, Christine, for all of the wonderful work that you do. And thank you for what you're both doing here. This is wonderful. I applaud what you're doing.
Well,
Thank you
thank
for having me
you.
on.
And we look forward to being community with you, my friend.
Yes,
So
of course.
talk to you soon.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, how much fun was that?
I have notes. Listen, every week it's a session to rest, right? A session to catch up with you and talk about stuff. I'm learning stuff from the ladies, and that's what I was looking forward to. I feel like I'm gonna be light years ahead of where I would have been had I not had all this information, trying to figure it out. And I love this side so much better.
Right?
Oh yes.
Right? And for our listeners who are watching, we're having a little internet issue today. So thanks for hanging with us if you hung with us. And we are upgrading our tech and incremental steps at a time. And sometimes this funky thing called the internet has just been acting a little bit up with
Yes.
everybody being at home working.
Yes.
So we appreciate the grace. We appreciate y'all being with us. And I think it's about that time, my friend.
Okay. Well, just have to wait till next week. Only 7 days. We'll be back here live at 5, like every well, not every week. That's not true, but for 52 episodes, we've been here and we'll be back for the 53rd. Okay. And in the meantime, again, thank you so much. Be well, be wise, be whole. We'll see you soon.
We'll see you soon.